Hello everyone, this is a video of how to paint Vergil. We will start with Vallejo's dark grey blue and give two nice coats to the entire piece. You can avoid this step if you have primed the piece with light grey. Afterwards, we will paint the pants with black Templar. If you wish, you can paint it with a more flat black like Abaddon black or something dark blue and shaded. This step is completely optional as most of the pants will be covered by the coat. However, once the black dries, we can give it a light dry brush with dark Reaper. With the pants done, we will move to the boots. The first thing we will do is cover both of them with two thin layers of Incubi Darkness. Then we will arm ourselves with patience and start highlighting. We will mix 1:1 Incubi Darkness and Dark Reaper and add a few highlights on the outer side of the boots. Afterwards, we will add a second highlight with pure Dark Reaper on top of the previous highlight. Subsequently, we will mix equal part Thunderhawk Blue and Dark Reaper, meaning 1:1, and add a third highlight layer on top of the previous two. Finally, we will add details of pure Thunderhawk Blue on top of our highlights, as close to the edges and centers as we can. For this step, we will need to be extremely careful. Using a small brush loaded with Runefang steel, we will paint the buckles of the boot straps. Go slowly and carefully, as a mistake here can be costly in time to fix. Once the metallic dries fully, we will shade it with Nuln oil. Finally, after waiting for the shade to dry, we will reuse Runefang steel and make a few highlights on the strap buckle. Just like we did with the lower body, we will paint the coat and shirt of the upper body with Vallejo's dark grey blue. Two thin layers are more than enough for the base. To avoid painting black, we will paint the coat with Leviathan blue. Both the front and the back of the coat should be painted, however not the shirt. Of course, if you want to paint the coat black, feel free to do so. My suggestion would be Black Templar. Once we made sure the contrast has dried, we will get a light talc blue and start highlighting the raised areas of the coat. It may be a very bright color, however on the next step we will darken it. If you have painted the coat black, then maybe you can highlight it with Dark Reaper and afterwards with Thunderhawk blue. Subsequently, we will cover the entire coat with Drakenhof Nightshade. This will darken both the contrast and the highlights we did, blending the colors. In case you feel the blue is still too bright after the shade has dried, go with another layer. Using Grey Sear, once the shade has fully dried, we will paint the silver details on the coat. There are details on the back as well as the cuffs, so go carefully with the belly of your brush. If any mistakes happen, try to salvage it by doing highlights there with Allied Talc Blue. With Runefang steel, we will paint the cufflinks as well as the button that exist on the coat. As with all metallics, we will shade it with Nuln oil in order to give them some depth. Once the shade has dried, we will go over the buttons again, giving them a nice highlight with Runefang steel. To finish the coat, we will go over the most raised blue areas with another layer of Allied Talc Blue. Moving to the shirt, we will base the entirety with Contour Blue. Do be careful not to paint the coat. Some deep areas on the collar can also be left unpainted in case you are not able to reach them without painting the coat. In order to shade the shirt, we will once again use Drakenhof Nightshade. Once the shade has fully dried, we will go over some of the edges and raised areas with another layer of Contour Blue. Afterwards, we will mix a bit of a lilac blue to our Contour Blue so that the consistency of the mix is roughly 1:1. We will go over the highlights we just did, covering less area. Then we will take pure lilac blue and add details to the edges of the shirt panels. If you want and find it useful to also add details on the raised areas, feel free to do so. To paint the buttons on the shirt, as well as the zipper, we will use Runefang steel. As the area is small, do paint them really carefully. As we did with the cufflinks and buttons on the coat, we will shade the zipper and buttons on the shirt with Nuln Oil as well. Following that, we will go over the same areas covering less area with Runefang steel. We will start by painting the entire head, meaning face and hair, with grey cere. This is done to normalize the face skin with the rest and base the white hair. A couple of layers will suffice. Then, just like the rest of the skin, we will paint the face with Cadian Flesh Tone. Be careful not to paint the hair, and if an accident happens, then fix it as soon as possible with grey cere. As the face is drying, we will move to the hair. We will use Apothecary White to paint and shade them. Shake the contrast paint well, as Apothecary White goes really bad when not in use. Staying on the hair, once the contrast paint has dried fully, we will take a bit of grey cere and go over the most raised areas, making highlights. Returning to the face, with Corax White, we will paint the eye scleras. As with Dande, I will not paint the eyes, but feel free to do it on your own. Making a mix of Cadian Flesh Tone and Kislev Flesh, we will start making highlights on the face. The consistency of the mix should be roughly 1:1. Subsequently, we will take pure Kislev Flesh and add details to the highlights we just did. Finally, we will mix 1:1 Cadian Flesh Tone and Bugman's Glow and paint Vergil's lips. We are going to start just like the previous two parts with Vallejo's dark grey blue. We will paint the whole sheath with it. Do not paint the gloves or the handle of the sword. In order to give the sheath a darker blue hue, we will cover it with Drakenhof Nightshade. You can do this step while the shade is drying, or wait for it to dry and then continue. Using Retributor Armor, paint the bottom of the sheath, the area on the upper part of the sheath, the one that is under the guard, as well as Yamato's guard. Once the metallic has fully dried, cover all parts that belong to the sheath with Nuln Oil. Do not shade the guard, as we will shade it later. Afterwards, we will jump back to Retributor Armor and highlight close to the edges of the sheath and under the guard. Yamato's handle will be painted fully with Corax White. Give it 2 nice layers for maximum coverage. Combining a brush with a nice small tip and Contour Blue, we will carefully paint the areas between the handle. Since we're done with the handle, we can now paint the top of the handle. Just like with the sheath, we will use Retributor Armor. Afterwards, we will shade it with Nuln Oil. Once dried, we will highlight the guard and top with Retributor Armor. Try to highlight as close to the edges as you can. We will add details to the highlight we just did using Auric Armor Gold. Go over the highlights done in the previous step, covering less area. With the sheath done, we will move to the gloves and skin. To ensure uniformity with the rest of the skin, we will first cover the area with grey cere. Subsequently, we will add 2 layers of Cadian flesh tone to the skin. Try to avoid painting on the gloves as much as possible. Making a mix of Abaddon black and German grey in a consistency of 1:1, we will start painting the gloves. For obvious reasons, avoid to paint on the skin. If an accident happens, fix it with Cadian flesh tone as soon as possible. At the area around the knuckles, we will do some highlights using pure German grey. Let's highlight the skin. We will make a 1:1 mix of Cadian flesh tone and Kislev flesh. We will paint all areas that the light would hit. Afterwards, with pure Kislev flesh, we will add extra details on the wrist and fingers. To finish the piece, we will make a mix of Bugman's Glow and Cadian flesh tone, again 1:1, and paint the fingernails. The result should look like this. If you liked this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to the channel. All colors used in this video are on your screen now. I was MiniatureUrsus. Thank you for watching, and I will see you on the next one.